in Jaina philosophy consists of big. After this, metaphysics. So first we are discussing metaphysics. Metaphysics consists of three things. What is the concept of God or creator God? In technical terms, it's called theology. Then, how the world exists? Cosmology. And how soul exists? So God, world, and soul. Metaphysics. When we are analyzing metaphysics, any philosophy, they have to answer these three. Epistemology, we will discuss later. The Jaina metaphysics, in which we discussed first how the world exists. In previous class, we discussed in worldly there are things are there. Two types of things are there. Any object, any substance has two types. Their characteristics are of two types. What are those? Any substance has two characteristics. What are those? No, let me check. Any substance, you can refer to your notes if you want, no problem.
Existent.
But I need answer. Sister, any substance has two types. Any substance can be divided, all substance in the world, all substance can be divided into two groups. Or even this pen has two types of character. What are two? Two characters. Some characteristics are
Existent.
some characteristic of this pen are sister. Some characteristic of any substance has two types of things within it. Or all the worlds in the entire cosmic can have two types. Can be divided into two types. Some are permanent and impermanent. Just remember. So, for example, within that, so can be divided into permanent and impermanent. Within impermanent, there are two categories. What are those?
Manifest here.
No, we are discussing Jaina philosophy, not any other. Jaina philosophy.
Apologize. I'm still in the previous class.
In Jaina philosophy, within impermanent, intrinsic characteristic and non-intrinsic characteristic. In technical terms, what are the Sanskrit terms for this? No, not CUI.
Astika.
Astikar.
Do the pages.
So things which exist and which does not exist. Existent thing and non-existent.
Existent.
What is example of existent? Anybody?
Pen on my table.
Hmm? Yes, existent things require occupy space.
Space.
Non-existent thing does not occupy space. In this context, remember these are Jaina terminology. Don't confuse with any of the other philosophical schools. They will have different context. They have different definitions. So certain thing exists Astikaya, Nastikaya. Don't exist. Existent means in here space, in space, in space. And non-existent in space. So time is example of which does not require time. Does not require. Although in modern physics, time and space they are correlated. According to Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, time and space have correlation. But let us not go into that deeper idea. So things now within that we discussed that the substance have yes. So those who are existent in space, they are further divided into without soul and with soul and without soul.
Yes. System.
Without. By the way, when we discuss this impermanent phenomena, we also discussed. When we are discussing things, so some have their intrinsic nature, some have non-intrinsic nature. For example, this pen we discussed, its penness, writing quality is it intrinsic to it, but its color, black, is not intrinsic to it. Color, this is also having color. So in order to know the totality, pen in totality, you need to know all the attributes. All attributes of it. So in order to know its blackness, you need to know this blackness as well. Because then only you can compare how black, what is this black and how is this black. And that way, entire cosmic things, in order to know this pen, you need to know in totality, you need to know everything. So this gave us goes to a very unique Jaina theory which does not exist in Name. That theory is called Anekantvad. This also gives that there is this very important concept of Jainism that entire world is connected with each other. Everything is connected to each other. And in order to know one thing, you need to know all the things. So generally, Upanishad they ask by knowing what you get to know what. All the things. So that type. You cannot know the pen even if you don't know entire, because this pen is connected in that way. Its characteristics are connected with the entire cosmic thing. So this is another important theory of Jaina metaphysics. Anekantavad. Here. So Anekantavad is one of its very important. Another theory of substance. So we divided this theory of substance into Jiva and Ajiva. So existent in space. Now you can see this idea is cosmology, substance, permanent, impermanent, existent, non-existent, existent in space, with soul, without soul. So with soul we discussed. How many with soul? With soul. How many types are there? Two. What are those?
Mobile and immobile.
Mobile and immobile. And immobile. With soul. Mobile, immobile example. Immobile. Things which have soul but they do not move. Wait, sister. According to Jaina philosophy, tell me an example there is something which cannot move but it has a soul. Tell me example. Wait. Okay, forget about Jaina philosophy. Tell me, there are many living things, not beings, living beings. They exist in. Can you think of something which is living entity but cannot move? You are newcomer. From your common sense, you were not there in class. Common sense, just tell me something. Example, some living thing which, according to common people, even scientists now, they believe that it's a living thing, not living being, living thing, but does not, living thing but cannot move. It has some sort of soul, some sort of life in it, but cannot move. Some sort of life is there but cannot move. Trees. Yeah, but I say common sense. When in Jaina philosophy only these objects also have a soul. Only in Jaina philosophy, by the way. Others, for him I asked in common sense. Trees are one example. Even scientists, they believe they have a life,
Yes.
but they cannot move. Common. In Jaina philosophy, even the material things, like even stone, have a life. So they divide these mobile and immobile into with one sense and five sense. So immobile have only one sense. Like trees you can touch and it can feel something. Similarly, stone also you can touch and it will like, according to Jaina philosophy, even if you hug a stone with affection, that will reflect you compassion or something. Hugging a tree. That touch sensation is there. Rest, 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, 5 sense. Now things without soul. So today we will focus, this all we have discussed in previous class. It was just a recap of what we discussed in previous class. This much is clear? So theory of substance. So theory of substance is related to things without soul. So these things are already here in your notes. If you read it carefully, you will get to know.
So in that point, does everything have a soul in Jainism?
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
That's
One the thing, yes, that is interesting. According to Jaina theory, everything has soul, but everything is not conscious. So consciousness and soul, these two are. So they say that something immobile or inert thing like a stone, the consciousness is in sleeping state. Sleeping state. Once the consciousness will arise, even stone it will become, from the stone it will become tree. From tree, so tree have only one sense. From tree we discussed 2 senses. So that's their theory of evolution. How the consciousness evolves. First stone, then tree, then insect with 2 senses. For example, which can touch, then taste. Touch and taste. For example, microorganisms. That's they can touch, but also a bigger example you can see. For example, the snails. They can taste and touch. They can't hear. They can't. Then gradually touch, taste, then smell.
Smell.
Ants, for example, they can smell, they can touch, they can taste, and they can smell. That is why when you keep something sweet in your room, lots of ants will come. They taste, they can't see, but they can taste. Then, so this is their theory of evolution. Gradually, the soul is evolving with 1 sense, 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, 5 sense. We have 5 sense.
With more and more consciousness.
Yes, with more consciousness.
So, when they say that rocks have life, I thought that as, because they believe that microorganisms are there, they believe harming, so rocks have a lot of microorganisms on top of it, and that's why they say that it has life. It doesn't believe in that the rock has a soul.
Even that inert material also have.
Do they believe that?
Again, look, here we are studying Jaina philosophy overall, but within Jaina philosophy there are several branches, so there are variations, but here we are studying in a nutshell. Overall Jaina philosophy, yes, they believe. So, even inert things also happen. Okay. Maybe. So now we have discussed in word also we need to discuss little bit of the how the idea of existence is coming in this. This how the words get created according to Jaina philosophy. So we are discussing actually we are focusing right now this word, and when we are discussing the soul, we will cover this also, the idea of order created. So in this word we have discussed one important philosophy, Anekantavad, theory of substance. So theory of substance, we discussed how many types of substance are there? Substance. Primarily two.
Three.
What are three? What are three? No, first two, Jiva and Ajiva. And within that, matter, if they are without soul, then Pudgal. Soul, which we are going to discuss later. So when we are discussing Jiva, and without soul. So without soul, what are the four or three? Four. Akash, Udgal, Dharma, Adharma. So without soul, Akash, space. Udgal is matter. These two are eternal, permanent substance. Akash, Udgal. Sorry, this has two types. Space is of course permanent, but matter like pen get dissolved, but its atom are permanent. Akash, Udgal, Dharma. Dharma here it means I discussed which supports the motion. Anything which supports the motion is dharma and adharma. Which does not support the motion. So this way, theory of substance. With soul also we have discussed. With one with soul we have discussed two major types. What are two with soul? Substance. Substance with soul. With soul and without soul. With soul we have discussed what are two types. Bandha means in bondage, bondage, and liberated. And within bondage, we have discussed, we already discussed. No. Power, mobile, and immobile. Now, within immobile, we have discussed 1, 2, 3, sorry, immobile 1, and in this 2, 3. Now we are discussing liberated. So in Jainism, there are two types of liberated souls. One is, it's very similar to Buddhism. If you study especially the Sravakayana or Hinayana Buddhism or but for lower schools of philosophy in Buddhism, very similar idea. So liberated, there are several stages, but those who are totally liberated, two types of them are. So some are called Arhan, evil, and another type of, they are called Siddha. And within Arhan, some are there, those who are called Tirthanga. Arhat and Arihant or Arahant very same. But in Buddhism, you know Arhat. So those who become Arhat, I will discuss what Arhat means and what are their characters. Those who become Kevali and those who after attaining Arhat, you can still live. So you can live the Arhat do not, when they attain Kaivalya Jnana, so they don't depart like when somebody attains Arhat attains Nirvana in Buddhism. Nirvana does not mean death. So there are two types of Nirvana. If you study Buddhist philosophy, Nirvana with reminder and without reminder. When you leave the body, then you become you. So in Jaina philosophy, those who become Arihant or Kevali, after their death, they go to Siddha Shila. So there is a Jaina cosmology. Cosmology means there is how the world exists in general. Philosophy is there is a are you aware of Mount Meru? No. I'm asking everybody. Mount Meru. Okay, so that's in Buddhist cosmology. When you are discussing, you should know in Buddhist cosmology there is the idea of Mount Meru. That's the highest. There is again this does not exist. This Mount Meru does not exist physically, but it is believed that the entire cosmic world has a levels. From the top level, In Jaina philosophy, of top of that, there is Siddhashila. There is a special sort of place where all those liberated souls they go there and they live there. So that is why that's the place is called Siddhashila. And then in Jaina cosmology, the top is the Siddhashila, then God's realms are there. Between that, human realm is there, and then the hell realm is there. So if you see it's a kind of vertical line. If you Google Jaina cosmology, it shows. Just some image, don't recommend to be shared this, but so this is Siddhashila. On the top, where they will, after becoming Arahat or Arihant or Kevali, you go there. In between, there are Devalokas, there are 14 such Devaloka and many more. The abodes of, and this is the middle level where human and animal live. These are the Naraka or the hell realm in which the people with lower karma and lower karma. This is
Kayaknya mana satu dua tak?
So those are Siddha. And then there are Arhants and Kevalis. Within those Arhants or Kevalis, there are some. Those who are able to, so this is more like, if you compare what is the difference between Arhat and Samyak Sambudh. Arde, how do you discriminate somebody is Arhat and somebody is Buddha? What is the difference? From mind. No, in general, just general knowledge. How do you think? Can you tell something? How do you differentiate? For example, Sariputra, Maudgalya, and these all are Arhats. Anand also became Arhat.
They
So these are,
became liberated because of.
huh?
They became liberated because of Buddha.
Uh,
In terms of Buddhism.
So in terms of Buddhism, no. Buddha does not say that you have to. There are second categories of enlightened beings who are called Pratyek Buddha. Pratyek Buddha, and they are not dependent on. So in Buddhism, there is no dependency. You can become enlightened, at least Arhat, even without Buddha. So I'm
They
asking.
became liberated, but they don't do this for other people. They became liberated for themselves.
Yes. The difference is you should know. This is where the Hinayana or Sravakyana and Mahayana difference. This is related to Buddhism, but very similar idea comes here also. So there are Arhats, those who can liberate themselves, but they do not create a path for others. So they just liberate self-liberation. Individual liberation is emphasized. So the kind of a tradition which emphasizes only self-liberation is called Hinaya. He means smaller or lesser. So if you follow that path, you can become arhat also. You can't become Buddha. This is related to Buddhism, most of you. So this is difference. So those who can't create path for others, they are arhats. And Buddhas are the people those who become liberated themselves and also liberate others. So that's the difference between arhat and samyak sambuddha. A general, very general statement we are discussing here. Similarly, the Tirthankaras, Tirth means actually Tirtha. What is Tirth? Holy place. So holy place actually Tirth means some kind of a water body. So Tirthankaras, those who create fodder, a kind of a fodder through which you can cross this water. So this samsara is mostly termed as an ocean of samsara. Those who can create a fodder, a system through which you can go across this whatever water is there. So they are called Tirthankaras. So they create a system. They create a system through which people can get liberated. Tirthankaras. All arhats are not Tirthankaras, but all Tirthankaras are or Keval. So they do because they have this Keval Gyan. So in Jaina cosmology, there idea of time. So the universe gets created, and then there is a avasarpati. So there is a good time, and then there is a avasarpati, fall time. So we are living in that time period in which 24 Tirthankaras will be there. So there will be 24 Tirthankaras. And 24th one was Mahavir. So Buddhism does not start with Gautama Buddha. Similarly, Jainism does not start with Mahavir. There were at least 23 before Mahavir. No, they are arhats only. They are arhats only. For example, Buddha is also arhat. Namo tassa bhagavato arahat. So Buddha is arhat, but also samyak sambuddha. While samyak sambuddha, all arhats are not samyak sambuddha. Okay? Similarly, all Tirthankaras are arhats, but all arhats are not Tirthankaras. There are some arhats, and in Jainism you can also become arhat. Anybody can become. Arhat means fully liberated soul. So this is liberated soul. Clear this one? Any doubt? Just take it right now. Take it as a granted. Like this is how Jainism. When we are discussing Buddhist philosophy, there we will go into nitty-gritty, the details. Here we have to give a holistic, just a overall picture of this. Now the idea of bondage. We discuss this one. Why somebody gets tell me that. Why we get bounded? Okay, now who is a liberated person? It is. Yeah, of course, but
one who does not have any karma left.
yes, that is liberated. So how to do that? So Jainism gives a very interesting, very important two terms are there. In order to get liberation, first you have to do samvara. And second is called nirjara. So samvara means stopping the influx of karma. And nirjara is getting the rate is not very good. Good. How to emptying, making.
Again.
Yes. Like, let me give one analogy. That suppose there is a boat, and in that boat there is a hole. So water is coming into it. It will drown the boat. So what you will do? You will first stop the hole with some. You will stop the hole, and then water has in the boat. Still, some water has entered into it. So what you do? You will gradually empty that water. Okay. So similarly, we have now our body is with many such holes are there through which impurities, impure karmas are come. So first you have to do someone. You have to stop those impure karmas. And whatever karmas we have generated from previous, then that you have to cleanse. So cleansing of the karma. Cleansing. Clean.
SRH.
Cleansing. So in Jainism, because of cleansing is required, that is why lots of extreme practices are there. For example, as I said, in Buddhism you have to, in Jainism you can't shave your hair, you have to pluck your hair. You have to live abstain from everything. So those that cleansing of the karma is very much required. And that is why Jaina people they go into extremes of asceticism, like leaving the clothes, everything. Minimal position, so that cleansing of karma happens. So first stopping the influx of karma and cleansing of it. So these are technical terms, but somewhere is there. What is nature of soul? Or let us say, what is size of the soul? Size. So in different schools of philosophy, they have different types. We have studied little bit Vedanta and Upanishad philosophy, Upanishadic philosophy. In that, what is the soul? What is the size of soul? What is the soul? Or what is the probable size of the soul in that philosophy? Hmm? Yes. It cannot be defined because the Atma is Paramatma. And Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. And Jivatma, the soul is not different from the entire. So the parimad or the amount of soul is infinite. It consists of everything. So in technical terms, if you want to note it down, you can note it down. It's called Vibhu Parimarva. Vibhu means Vibhu, V-I-B-H-U. It consists of everything. Soul, size of soul is infinite. It consists of everything. There is another tradition in Hindu philosophy. They call the soul is Anu. It's like atom. It has there's no sort of sign. Anu Parimarva. Nayayika, when we are studying Hindu philosophy. They call that the soul has no size, negligible size. It's like atom. It does not have any weight, any, but it exists. In Jaina philosophy, the soul, size of soul, they call it Madhyam Parimad. So they take this also, Vibhu Parimad and Anu Parimad. In between, they take the soul actually takes the size of the matter. For example, when you are, they have a very standard statement. They say that an ant, when it gets the pudgal, the substance, external, the jeev, the soul, when it gets a small, so it becomes an ant. Ant-like creature has ant-like soul. An elephant-like creature has elephant-like soul. So it depends upon the size of the creature, the matter. size of matter, how much it has accumulated. That is the size of the source. So these are some general standard. So we have discussed the Dravya Siddhant, Jagat. So Tirthankaras, in order to have become Tirthankara, you need to have three things. Or not just Tirthankaras, even Arhat. In order to become Arhat or Keli, you need to have three qualities. They call it three Ratna, three jewels. Don't confuse with Buddha Dharma Sankara. It's three Ratna, three jewels. Three means three. Jewels. So you need to have Samyak Darshan, right? View. These are very not good, very good translation. Some ad hoc words we are using. So right view, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, right knowledge. Because Samyak is not right. Right you have wrong. Samyak is perfect. So let us perfect. Again, perfect has a connotation of something perfect and imperfect, but these are beyond that. So, perfect view, perfect knowledge. Right? Perfect. Conduct. There is. Perfect conduct. So in order to become Arahant, you need to have these three. So perfect view, it is more like it talks about perfect view means perfect knowledge of the reality, how reality exists, this substantial reality. So according to Jaina philosophy, this happens through this metaphysics. What the theory of substance, how the reality exists. Through this Anekantavad, you need to know, in order to know this pen, you need to know the entire philosophy, entire cosmological existence entirely. So perfect view, a perfect darshan, Samyak darshan. Darshan also is philosophy. In that sense also, whatever philosophy we are, that Samyak view, you need to have a perfect view. Perfect knowledge is, according to Jaina philosophy, is knowledge how Tirthankaras, they have the knowledge which they have showed the path, the knowledge. The Jaina, the way Hinduism we have Dharma. So whatever Buddha taught, similarly whatever Tirthankaras taught, that perfect knowledge is there. We will discuss Jaina epistemology, we will discuss knowledge in more detail. What is types of knowledge, what is knowledge. And then perfect conduct is more like ethics. So perfect conduct, you have to observe Panch Mahavrata, 5 great vows. What are 5 great vows in Buddhism? Sister, 5 precepts. 5 precepts. What are 5 precepts in Buddhism? Not killing, not stealing, not lying, no intoxication, no sexual misconduct. In this, just instead of remove not intoxication, remove that and replace with not clinging to anything. What does intoxicants do? They form a habit pattern. You will crave for again and again. Intoxicant, those who are drink alcoholic, they will crave for alcohol again and again. Addiction. So you become addicted to that. You cling to that. So Jainism goes little more deeper. Instead of talking about non-addiction, not intoxicating, it is don't become addicted or don't get cling to it. So just replace that one with not clinging to anything. It's aparigar, what they call. Rest of 5 months. According to Jaina philosophy, Mahavir added the 5th one, Brahmacharya. Earlier masters they had only 4. In Mahavir's time, 5th one was added, only 4. The time is already up. So this here we complete metaphysics. Next class we will discuss episteme. All the document has all whatever we are discussing. Document has that.